Hello, everyone. I don't know if we're going to be buffering. We might be just a little bit because it just happened to decide to rain just a little bit as soon as I wanted to go live. So I want you to be expecting anything. I want to welcome you to my live stream. And a lot of things have been going on in the world. I do a lot nowadays talking about the last days because that's where we're at right now. And there's a process that God has, sequence of events, dominoes that need to fall. And once we realize what we're looking at, it's a little bit easier. And I would say that the majority of Christians are in the thought process that we're in the last days. And that's when the four horsemen are riding. And we're seeing signs of them absolutely everywhere. The four horsemen, first one's about conquering. The second one is about finances. Third one is about famine and pestilence. And the fourth one is death. So we've been seeing constantly the aggression of the riders getting more and more. Okay. Let's say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello to Adrian and hello, Sunshine. So glad to see you both. Awesome. I hope y'all are doing great. All right. Oh, I better remind y'all, for y'all that might be new or come back later, to subscribe. Definitely comment. Love that. Share the videos, y'all. Please help me share. And let's get to it. All right. Today, it's not just me. I got this message a couple of days ago, and it was like really confirmed through a friend of mine that had a dream. And I woke up the next morning after receiving that, that the veil is, it was just about the veil, like the veil being removed. And then his vision, his dream that he had twice that night, and he says he doesn't have those, was that the veil was torn. Everything was very chaotic in his dream. He woke up covered in sweat, shaking. Okay. Hello, Mark from Seattle. It's always good to see you, sweetie. Glad to see you here. Thank you all for the thumbs up also. Okay. So you're seeing strange things. You're going to see manifestations. And let me tell you, you're going to also start having visions, more dreams, because as things get harder, God's kids, we're going to be connected more and more with him. Just like with my friend that had that dream, he didn't normally have it, but he is full Christian, just given over to God, his wife, his whole family. So I want you to expect that, but I also want you to expect the attacks from the demons, the fallen angels. You're going to get these attacks, and already we're getting a form of it through the persecution. As soon as they declared, people like Christians and preppers terrorists, that was really the start of it. Okay. But it's gotten a lot worse. Now we're up to the mocking, and now we're getting up to, if you don't do what we tell you to do, then you're going to be ostracized and kept from certain privileges that you had before, including shopping, including leaving your house, things like that. Hello, Teresa. It's good to see you. Welcome. Can y'all hear me okay? Because all I can hear is the rain, and I don't know if y'all can hear. I hope you can. If you have any problems, just let me know. All right. Okay. But there are actual physical manifestations of being in the last days right here on earth. Okay. And some of these signs are, you might be surprised, some of you might not have heard, that there were more mysteries in Massachusetts. Those where they don't know where it came from. And usually that is a sign that the earth is under a great amount of pressure. When it does that, when you're crushing something so hard, it lets out tones, it lets out booms, because things are shifting. Okay, that's how you start having problems with either magma coming up or sinkholes being created or land beginning to sink. Okay, if you're hearing booms in your area and you don't know where they're coming from, I would be wary what's under your feet. And in Massachusetts, aren't they right close to a fault line? Okay, so you got to notice that the fault lines are shifting. And that is also evident in the earth, because one last live streams I just did, I said it should be time for the big earthquakes And the tsunamis started was the next day. The Sandwich Islands just started going crazy. But it wasn't just the Sandwich Islands, was it? It was Alaska, Haiti, and the Philippines. And we've been getting some strange quakes in places like Spain, North Carolina the last 24 hours too. Yeah, heavy persecution. Okay. Like, hi, Michael. Ah, you're in Massachusetts. Okay, so maybe, okay, you do have a small fault line. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything right now, but considering that the Earth is groaning itself, these fault lines, they're going to be your first evidence that something is wrong. And along the fault line, so what we even considered to be dormant volcanoes until now aren't dormant anymore. So just keep that in mind, all right? And plus, Massachusetts is on the coastline, and there's a big, huge volcano. They called it the Blob or something a few years ago that was partially in the Atlantic and up underneath the New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut area. So don't just write that off just yet. Hello, Will. Good to see you, sweetie. Always good to see you. All right. And they say that these earthquakes, that they're expected to worsen worldwide, which is absolutely correct. They will continue. And the Sandwich Islands are still going hard today with no end in sight. The world is heating up. They talk about in the Bible how men will be scorched with heat, scorched with the sun. Okay. So this might sound a little Neanderthalic, kind of like we're going backwards, but I guess in a way we are. You know, we're dropping from the heights of technology to living in caves soon because the heat and the radiation is going to be too much. So those of you that are around the desert, like Carlsbad Caverns, New Mexico, if you've got a cave around you, scope it out, pick out your area, because in the end, that might be the safest place for you. Okay? The whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs. That's right. And see, the horsemen are called the horsemen of the apocalypse, which means that something is revealed by God. Okay? Something has to be, that's what apocalypse means. So when you see the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and something being revealed is likened in the Bible to Revelation 12, meaning a veiled bride, or like the baby she's about to have that you can't see, but when it's born, it'll be revealed when you unveil the bride. So that's why we keep saying we're in labor pains, because we're in the last days. We are closing in on some things. Okay. So we're seeing those horsemen. That's why we're calling them birth pains. But the earth groans. You're seeing the signs in the sky. They're even talking about all these asteroids and meteors that are supposed to hit us soon, start coming in. And I think they kind of have just spotted coming in over this year. Okay. Don't be fooled just because it's a 2 or under. Yeah. See. Yeah. Well, you know, Texas a few years back, we didn't have earthquakes either. I couldn't remember really. It'd be a rare day when Texas got an earthquake. Now it's all the time. Okay. K King, welcome, and welcome Clarissa. Good to see you. Hard labor just starting within the 5. Right. Exactly. That's what I was saying last video. I said things should start going that next level. It should be getting harder, because I could just feel in my spirit something, the next level, something was starting. It was advancing. All right. Yes, you were telling us about that peach tree. Peaches are good too. All right. Now we're going to get back to it. All right. So, yep. All right. Now, not only are we dealing with the heat and the earthquakes and the mystery booms, but the nations around the world just recently were all flooding, while California is in the droughts, and all of their water slowly but surely is just disappearing. And I think it's because of what the scientists have been saying, is that the west side of the United States is lifting up, and there's a lot of magma coming up. So if the surface of the ground is being heated more and more by magma, and it's rising closer to the sun, I could see where shifts in water would happen. I could see where it would be hard to keep a lake full. And that's just, to me, what I think. It just makes sense. They're telling us, yeah, that's what's happening as far as the magma and the lifting up. But it just, you take it that next step, it's like, well, it kind of makes sense that they're having water issues. Okay. But it's hurricane season now. And usually, what I've noticed over the years is as soon as, because they always put kids in school at these weird times, it can be August 10th to September 17th sometimes. But every time they put the kids in school, like the next day, the rains come and they don't stop. They just don't stop. But right here, we got a very good hard rain happening just right now. Praise God. Because it's hot. It is so hot. It was working my air conditioner. Good afternoon, Maccabeus. Very glad to see you. Hello, Susan. Always a pleasure. Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys and that you're commenting, because last live stream I did, like, almost no one commented. It was such a surprise. But maybe it's because, it's too many shortages to really get through. Okay, and this isn't even the top news, really. It's maybe the earthquakes, but we're getting there. We're getting there to more things that you're hearing. So yeah, we're in hurricane season, and this is about the time where the coast should be prepared for these hurricanes to really start hitting us hard. Because we had Fred, and it wasn't that bad, but that's just a taste. And for whatever reason, New Orleans keeps getting hit over and over again. So while you're trying to make sure you get your preps in order, your go bags, your plan, whatever it is that you're trying to do, the shipping is slowed down. Things have become problematic big time. Did y'all hear that? That was a huge anyway. So it's one of those things where if you're not getting it now, it might not be there in the future. And so I bought like it's a Go Power battery kind of thing that you can hook solar panels. I'm just waiting for those panels to get here. I didn't know when I ordered them they were coming from China, and they just happened to make it to the United States on the 14th. So they're in America. Yes, thank you, Adrian. You might be right about that, Clarissa, because if you look at the areas that are getting hit, a lot of these places are into voodoo or Hollywood or certain things, and God is supposed to be judging evil right now. So there's going to be good and bad people in these areas, but this is the time of God's judgment. It's got to be a time when the Lord shakes the world out of their stupor and open their eyes and see that no, he's God, and that he's had a way of dealing with sin over the millenniums way before we got here. And if we haven't learned from our history, then we're going to get the judgments. But see, the problem now is that there's never been a time like this before. So we're going to get a punishment like never before. Okay. And it's scary. It's really scary. And now people really are. They're starting to, the Christians, they know that time is getting shorter and shorter. So they're worrying about their relatives. But don't worry to the point that it makes you lose focus on God. Okay. There is still a lot that's going to happen. Because, see, all these things that God is doing is going to be to wake people up. And there are going to be plenty of people, even during the tribulation, that give their lives to God. So just don't give up yet. All right? Stay focused. Stay very focused. Walmart. What Walmart? Do you have a specific one? Or are you thinking, Debbie, all over? Because I've been hearing the warehouses. I just did a video on shortages, and I did mention that the warehouses that people are reporting, they're empty. So like whatever we got in these Walmarts, that's it. And if it's dwindling, right? And people, they're noticing too. They're getting their preps ready. Okay. All right. So not only is it hurricane season here and getting preps ready, but a tornado even pushed its way through a little village called Berumafin. Let me see if I can say that. Berumafin. I bet something like that. Germany. I tried. A little tornado, and that's along with everything else. That's along with everything else. And USGS is not reporting all of the earthquakes. So we don't, the whole world is in chaos. All right. And then you turn around and China and Russia are holding drills to wage war on the US. That wasn't just a hypothetical drill of, oh, maybe, or at least we'd have a handbook if we ever decided to do that. That's because they're going to invade us. It's in prophecy. We've been waiting for a very long time. We knew this was coming. Why? Because America turned their back on God. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That wasn't just a drill. That was phase one, really. We're coming for you. Get ready. But you won't be ready. They won't. You remember how Israel was before Nebuchadnezzar got there, cocky, arrogant. Oh, that can never happen. That's not going to happen. It did. Even Nebuchadnezzar had heard about the prophecies. You think Russia hasn't heard about what's going to happen? He knows. He knows when he gets here, he's going to mow us all down like dry grass. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Michael and Debbie. Oh, you're new. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad you decided to comment, Debbie. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for commenting. That is so awesome. Excuse me. Hold on. I know I shouldn't even drink that, but I just always loved that drink. Sorry, y'all. Oh, you're welcome, girl. Definitely. We're always glad to have you. Welcome to the family. Alrighty. Okay, so right on the heels of China and Russia with that drill, and I mean right on the heels, Biden decides to pull our troops out of Afghanistan without a real plan. Not that plans hadn't been suggested, not that he didn't have months to do it, but he did things just like he's done everything else in his presidency. He has these great ideals in his head, according to him, but no clear plan to do it. He just thinks that, okay, if we just do this one thing, but he put so many lives in danger, okay? He put our lives in danger over the border and then wants to turn around and point at us because everybody's sick. And tell us we can't open our businesses. We can't do this. We can't do that. Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts, because the more desperate people get because of these idiotic policies, the less people are going to listen. I guarantee you. Because, no matter what somebody tries to tell you, in the end, you always have a certain amount of basic human rights to be able to eat, to be able to have water, to be able to provide in some way for your family. And they just want a permit if you burp nowadays. They want a permit for everything. And you know what? That's getting a little old too. But here's the thing. As they keep on piling on more and more on us, eventually the bow's going to break. Eventually, none of their rules are going to matter, because there's not going to be anything to sustain these rules much longer. Defunding the police. Come on now. And they wonder why we've got Oath Keepers and Patriot militias popping up, okay? I mean, really, because people are already at that point. They know at some point the bow's going to break. It is exactly what it is. We are under a leadership that is traitorous. If you haven't noticed, there hasn't been one right thing done the entire time. Everything that's been done has been to tear our country apart. And it's not just our country. They're, insulting, oh, Putin's a killer, and they're dealing with Iran this way. And they're both hands in on dividing the Israel-Palestine kind of thing, going on two-state solution. They are, it's not idiocy as far as I'm concerned. I think there's a whole team of people that is pulling the rug right out from underneath us. And so anybody at this point who says, oh, everything's going to be fine, isn't paying attention. And there are people that are like that. They cannot deal with that. They purposefully put their heads in the sand. And if your head is in the sand, what's up in the air? Your booty. And what can happen to that when you're not paying attention? You got to watch your booty. You know what I'm saying? You can't just ignore everything. And I know I'm preaching the choir. I know that. Shoot, they curse God in hell too. Yeah, they're going to curse God. And if they hate God, you know we're going to get it. Yeah, they were talking about antibiotics. Like you can go to fish stores and they have antibiotics for fish that are exactly what we take. Like as far as antibiotics, like augmentin or amoxicillin kind of things. It's pretty cheap. Yep. Now, if China owns certain things here in America and we have been owed tons of debt, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think, you know what I'm saying? Eventually they're going to, it's called paying the piper. Everybody who thinks all this stuff is free right now doesn't see that there's not going to be anything to return to really, really soon, including that cootie cure that they keep trying to stick everybody with. Let me tell you something. That's only going to go so far because I don't think they're going to be able to push that if we're getting invaded by Russia and China. Something's going to have to interrupt that because we've got an entire tribulation to go through at some point, an entire World War III where everybody's involved in nuclear shooting and everything. So something is going to interrupt that. Guarantee it. This is a phase. We're going to have many phases. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the Smithfield. What's Smithfield, Michael? Okay. Oh yeah. All right. So we're going to go to Jerusalem for a minute. Not only are they trying to divide it, and it's very covert the way they're doing it. It's not in the front of the news like Trump had it. No. This is all beta news. It's not like main social media news, but you would be surprised how many countries are in on this every day, gaining momentum. All right. So what do we see in Jerusalem? This apocalyptic looking scene over the Temple Mount. A fire from near that place was over it, and the picture was Oscar worthy or something. It was one of those Kodak moments that was just it's probably going to go into the history books. That picture was so sublime. All right. But just the fact that there's smoke, that kind of, everybody could see it wasn't just smoke. It was like the smoke of the Lord. They could tell that it was prophecy. And then something else happened. An article came out on August 9th, and it's titled Biblical Prophecy Fulfilled, Foxes Play on Temple Mount in Jerusalem. What could be better than seeing a group of cute foxes frolicking together freely? How about seeing that group of foxes cavorting next to the Temple Mount, creating an image that seemed to jump right off the pages of the Bible? What pages, you ask? Indeed, the Book of Lamentations refers to a time in which the ground on which the Jewish temple stood will be so desolate that foxes will prowl over it. See Lamentations chapter 5, verse 18. Okay? But it says the Talmud elaborates on this passage, noting that if the prophecies of destruction are fulfilled, then so too Zechariah's prophecy regarding the third temple's construction will also be fulfilled. And I told you that Naphtali, you could just tell that's been placed in him, this strong desire. You know that soon something real is going to get going with building that third temple on the Temple Mount, exactly like prophecy has been saying it will be built. The time has come and we feel it. Okay, so while they're trying to divide, they're getting ready to build. They won't end up dividing it, or Maybe they do because God was mad. He says, because you divided my land. So maybe they do end up doing it, but I guess he turns it around or something. But that temple will be built. Smithfield is the largest pork processing plant that China bought. Oh my gosh. You know how many businesses are going out of business or closing down forever? It's not a couple of weeks or until product comes back in. It's forever. There are things that we've had all our lives that we will never see again on these shelves. And it's like it's happening more and more every day. And then what is that guy in California? I think it's California. He says, I don't have any regrets for what I'm about to do. You know, I will close down your businesses and I will, you know, he doesn't have a problem in this struggling economy where we really need businesses. He's going to just shut them all down. It's crazy. It's crazy. When the wind is blowing just where I can smell the Chinese pork. We've got wild hogs just running around in families out here. Just running around. Don't eat food from the place that your enemy owns. China owns the White House. Well, I mean, look at who he's been catering to. You would think that he's here to run every other country but the U.S. And what he does with the other countries, that it's so crazy. He's aligning with what he shouldn't be, and he's tearing down what he shouldn't be. It's an obvious attack from our own leaders. And it's not going to get any better. I mean, if you think about it, if America walked away from God, not everybody, obviously, but if God did and destruction was coming, of course, from the history of what God does, he'll put that leader in office that you don't want in there. He will. I think that Biden is part of God's judgment on America. I really do. And even a forwarding into the famine and the recessions, because, you know, the less people have ways to take care of themselves, the worse the pestilence is going to grow. And not just the cootie cure kind of thing. I'm talking lice, measles, you name it. All of these things will start getting worse because people can't take care of themselves as well. All right. Okay. Now, another thing I was mentioning in my last videos is that Temple was worried that, and others too as well, that we're going to have troops on the streets here in America soon. I'm talking about martial law. But then you look around the world, and guess what? We've got countries that have already done that in the name of help. You know, like the Bible said, they'll destroy many in the name of peace kind of thing. Well, that's how they're deploying these soldiers in France, China, Australia, and the UK. Now, they're actually, it's getting, it's really deadly the way that they're going. They're trying to go into people's houses and see what's going on with this and that, and put ankle bracelets on them and knocking on doors. It's not just staying in your house. This is really bad. Okay. So in the meantime, Biden takes all these troops out of Afghanistan, but he sends 30,000 troops to Taiwan, which, guess what, provokes China to declare war against the United States. And what were they just doing? Run-in drills with Russia against the U.S. Now, they said don't mess with Taiwan. And everybody kind of feels like they're going there because China wants that for the chips, maybe. I don't know. But I think the overall consensus is Taiwan first, us next. But China had said, don't mess with Taiwan or I will come get you. Well, you know, have you ever watched The Devil's Advocate? And Al Pacino has this one moment. I think his name is Al Pacino. He's in a church. He plays the devil. He licks his finger and he puts it in the holy water thingy. And it just starts bubbling. That's what it looks like Biden is doing. It's like, don't you dare mess with Taiwan or I will do it. And you can just see Biden putting his finger in there, you know, just poke, 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 poke. Okay. Alrighty. So now we got 30,000 troops in Taiwan, which means, you know how many troops we got spread out across the world? It's no wonder they mow us over when they get here. Everybody's gone that knows how to fight. All right. And in the meantime, it's not like we're doing, I mean, we're not doing so great. All right. They're trying to disarm us, but they're taking our ability to buy homes. Okay, now some of you might think, okay, well, we got these rent moratoriums, but see, that's only going to last so long because the banks are taking back everything. Guess what? The banks are having trouble. Let me explain. Okay, the rent moratorium and labor shortages have now driven America to a housing crash. So, because the rent wasn't paid and because the economy is so bad and the labor shortages are many, and the businesses are shutting down, that led Wells Fargo recently to what did they do? Hold on. They stopped extending credit, right? But behind that, there's this bank. They closed all of their accounts because they're closing their bank in November. There's something about November going on and with these banks apparently. Basically, the bank is closing, but these people for these banks, they have to take their business somewhere else on the heels of Wells Fargo ending lines of credit. And what that basically means is that if you want to buy a house or finance a car, that it's going to be harder to finance these cars and homes and businesses. Okay. So renting, if you can find somebody to rent to you, a home, if you can somehow find a way to get a home. You want a car, good luck. We have a car shortage going on. You can take a look at all the shortages on one of my last videos if you want. Okay. You think that you can stay home and people just deliver it to you? Well, not if the businesses are all shut down. Okay. And in the meantime, okay, so we're waiting. With the earthquakes are getting heavier while they're messing, the disasters are happening. And the Christian persecution is rising. Now, what's cool about that is that God told us to expect persecution. And you know how they mock us. They mock us. And it's infuriating. But God wanted us to count it as a joy. That not only are we suffering in a way that no other time has, but those of us who overcome are going to be rewarded somehow in heaven. We're going to have like a crown that's special or something kind of big. It's a pretty high honor. So whenever you're being mocked, whenever all this is going on, just remember that there's a reward coming for you, that you should be just sitting back and be like, come on, give it to me. Keep on talking, you know. Watch diamonds just appear on your crown or whatever it is that's happening up there, you know. It's just have a little thicker skin, be lighter hearted about it, you know. Just remember that none of this is for nothing at all. Yeah, you know, talking about 1929, Clarissa, and trusting banks, they're talking about investing. You know, where's the best place to invest? Well, there was a lot of investing going on right before the crash too. Everything looked fine, and then all of a sudden the bottom dropped right out. And that day is coming. We've got too many things breaking down, too many things that are irreversible in what has happened. So a lot of people, there was actually one guy, an error happened in Houston while he was trying to deposit cash at the ATM. Took his paycheck. Now, they were finally able to get it back, but he had to go through a lot of rigmarole because of a computer error. And because they were like, oh, well, how do we know that you really were putting this money in there? They gave him, he had to go to the news basically to get his money back. Yes, endure to the end. Endure to the end. You have no idea. I mean, yes, it's a hard time for the world, but I know that God is just going to be working through us more and more and more. Just like my friend that had that vision that doesn't usually dream. I told him, I said, expect to have these encounters more, even demonic attacks, because we're getting closer to God. You see, this is a war. And they're going to be trying to jump in you, attack you, whatever, attack you through your kids, attack you this way, that way. But you will feel contact with these demons. They're not allowed really to touch you. You just remember these words. Christ Jesus is Lord of all, and you don't have any right here. Get off. That is enough. That gets them off. They have no right if you're of the Lord's. No right to you whatsoever. You tell them, go on. You tell heaven, Lord God, get this thing off of me. And I'm not talking about being possessed. I'm talking about a physical attack. You know, when you're asleep at night and something you can't move, you can get them off of you because you can still think and God hears all your thoughts. Yep. Jesus is our Savior. He is there. He's always here. People say he's coming back. Yeah, but he's already here. I've been seeing him around me since I was a little kid. He's always around, but he's just coming in a different sense. We're not alone. We're never alone. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yep. They like it when you're most vulnerable, when you're sleeping. They do. But I just want y'all to be aware of that. That things aren't just ramping up in earthquakes and tornadoes. And that you got to look all the signs of the horsemen with the famine, the problem with money, the chaos that's happening, the death that's happening. It's all here. But don't you forget God, what God is going to do for us. And it's going to be great. I'm just want y'all to know that, not just have faith, but know it. This is a war, and he's the master of all, and he wins. Jesus already overcame all on that cross anyway. All we had to do was what? Believe. And when you believe and you love who you're following, you're going to want to be more like him. Jesus was awesome. Jesus was awesome. He even put the ear back on some soldier's head that was coming to send him to the cross. He was like, no. Nobody needs to be hurt here. I'll go. Take me. As long as all y'all are okay. That's all that matters. I mean, what a great guy, right? Hallelujah. Yes. Hello, Cora. It's very good to see you, sweetheart. Hello, Jeremy Townsend. I didn't want to miss saying hello to you. We will. We will make it to heaven. You will. But I think a lot of us have got to start letting go of the fear of leaving our bodies. Okay, yeah, some of us are going to get raptured and some of us won't. We'll get our glorified bodies later. But we're getting ready to go see him. We've just got to get over our fear of leaving this body. And I'm telling you, for somebody who's done that and come back, it doesn't hurt. It's not a big deal. It's really not. And if you worry about everybody else that's here, God's got them too. It's time for you to go, your work, what your part in the tapestry is over. You can relax now. You've done your job. You've run your race. It's okay. All right. Just make sure you've done what you need to do before that race is finished, as per the will of God and his purpose on your life when you were born. Because everybody was born with a purpose. People having dreams and visions, increasing national. Yep, as it is. So yeah, we got to be preparing our arcs. Okay. All right. Alrighty, y'all. I will be back probably in a day or two. I'm so glad that all of you came by because this is pretty much all of my talking points for today. All right. Just buckle up. Try not to be afraid. Get what you can prepared. Make sure that when those lights go out, as far as the grid down, that you're sitting in your house with your battery smiling, that when we don't have water, you've got your life straw and you're smiling because God prepared you. All right. All right. God bless y'all. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. Thank y'all.